Fighting in the Clone Wars meant that almost every single Jedi's time was being taken up commanding clone troopers on the front lines of battle, rather than their more traditional role of teaching young students. Despite this, the job had to be done by someone, and was frequently rotated around. For this training journey, Anakin Skywalker was chosen to lead a group of younglings into the dark forests of a remote world, where they would camp out overnight. So, let's find out how this training mission went horribly wrong, leading them to save Anakin's life. Because we all know how Anakin repaid them at the end of the war. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed for more awesome Star Wars lore content. The story begins in a forested world near Ilum, which is said to be very strong in the Force. Anakin and the Jedi Council understand that even in the middle of war, the training of the next generation of Jedi cannot be overlooked. As Anakin and his group of youngling students begin marching through the thick tree lines, Anakin calls out to them and warns them to make sure they stay together, and that it won't be long before they reach the campsite. One of the younglings, however, calls out to Anakin and tells him that their group isn't tired yet, like Anakin was suggesting, but savagely throws one of the other younglings under the bus and says, except for Aman, he's tired. Aman is so upset by the others saying this that he doesn't watch where he's walking and trips, almost falls face first into a poisonous viper plant. Anakin tells him that he needs to watch the path he's chosen and be aware of every step, pulling the kid up moments before his face impacts the plant. Obviously, this was advice that Anakin himself sadly failed to follow towards the end of the war. The youngling then thanks Anakin for saving his life before getting up and rejoining the rest of the youngling clan. For those of you who don't know, Jedi younglings with the rank of Initiate are split up into clans and are led by very senior Jedi Masters, including Master Yoda and Terra Sunube. The known clans included the Hawkback clan, the Heliost clan, and the one Master Yoda was training in Attack of the Clones was called the Bear clan. So make sure to tell me down below what you think a good name for this Jedi Initiate clan would be. After the story, also let me know who your favourite youngling from this group is. Who would have had the most potential to sit on the council one day, if Order 66 never happened. After this, one of the other younglings walks up to the plant and notices that its thorns are broken, meaning that something else must have stepped in it, and more creepily meaning that something must have followed the group. The group of kids go crazy after realizing this, but Anakin tries to calm them down and tells the young girl Tryla that he hopes that whatever it was that stepped in the bush has been put out of its misery and isn't suffering with the painful poison of the plant. As Anakin says this, however, the clan of younglings hear some rustling in the bushes, sending them into a craze and spooking them badly, wondering what it is. Anakin tries to calm the younglings again, telling them that it's probably just a local Tanor beast, which is basically an act dog, but much more venomous. And just in case you don't know, the act dog was a large creature from Mace Windu's homeworld of Harun Kal, and they were actually Force sensitive. Because of this, many of the natives on Harun Kal domesticated them and used them for their purposes. These creatures became great allies for the Harun Kal people, and they served not only as personal protection for the Harun Kal natives, but also for whole tribes. So those creatures are pretty cool, and the creature here on this forest planet is very similar to those. Once they get their camp set up, it shouldn't bother them any further. As the clan of younglings is setting up their tents, Kryl walks over to Aman once again and begins teasing him by saying, "A local animal, local beast more like it. You're not afraid, are you, Aman?" Aman, however, defends himself and says that he is not afraid, but was just startled by the noise. While Anakin is lighting the fire, Tryla asks him, "Master, after we've set up camp, will you tell us again how Master Qui-Gon saved you from Darth Maul?" Anakin knows the kids love hearing that story, and it doesn't surprise me at all that Anakin has bragged about it many times. Anakin also admits that he loves telling the story, adding, "Well, so do I, and I wasn't much older than you when it happened." Just as he is saying this though, the youngling Kryl jumps out from nowhere and pushes Aman, completely trolling the poor kid and pretending that a wild Tanor was attacking him. Aman tries to pretend he knew all along that it was just another youngling, but Kryl continues teasing him and putting him down. Once Anakin sees this, he moves over to the two boys and tells them to cut it out. He tells Kryl that what he did certainly wasn't the Jedi way, and the two younglings immediately apologize. Anakin continues to scold the two boys, but his attention is quickly grabbed by something mysterious in the distance. All of the younglings and Anakin himself feel a deep disturbance in the Force. As Anakin moves to investigate this, a massive Tanor beast roars and flies through the air, attacking Skywalker before he can even get a hit in. The younglings are shocked, calling out to Anakin, but there is no response. Anakin is completely knocked out because he was grazed by the Tanor beast's claws, injecting just the tiniest amount of venom into his veins. The clan of younglings immediately know that they need to get Anakin to the medical droid aboard their ship as soon as possible, but since it's nighttime, they also know that it's going to be extremely dangerous to trek through the dense forest. The younglings then try to carry Anakin back to the ship, but he's far too heavy for them, so Aman suggests that they build a stretcher to carry him all together, sharing the load around, which would be the Jedi way. Cryo, however, is not going to stick around and instead steals Anakin's lightsaber, telling the group that it will help him cut branches far faster than their training blades. After Cryo gets back and delivers all of the branches for the stretcher, Aman offers to take the lightsaber because Master Yoda says, in inexperienced hands, a danger a lightsaber is, knowing that he has far more experience than Cryo with the blade. Cryo, however, is not going to hand over the blade to him and tucks it away on his belt. The younglings then band together and begin hauling Anakin's nearly lifeless body through the thick forest, but unfortunately the ominous growl of the Tanor beast rings through the area, terrifying the young children. This beast is so fast that it knocks Anakin's stretcher to the ground without the younglings even noticing what hit them. The clan then argue about what to do next with Anakin, but Cryo can't shake the feeling that something is still out there, lurking in the shadows. While this is happening, Tryla is terrified and asks Aman what will happen if they can't get Anakin back to safety, but he warns her not to think about it before another chilling scream rings through the area. This time, the Tanor beast shows itself and charges towards the Jedi initiates, with Cryo igniting Anakin's blue lightsaber, hoping to stop it. Unfortunately, however, the young Jedi initiate is paralyzed with fear and can't do anything against the Tanor beast, left just to stand there as bait. The Tanor beast then charges at the youngling, absolutely terrifying him and leading him to climb a nearby tree, which happens to be a good distraction for the others to take Anakin to safety. Aman, however, the boy that Cryo was literally teasing for the whole trip, stands up for him and says, "We can't just leave him here." This leads Aman to race up to the top of the tree before unfortunately tumbling down to the bottom, putting him right in the line of sight of the beast. Aman then pulls a thorn out of the beast's hide before curling up into a ball and begging the Force to save him from the savage creature. But surprisingly, the creature is just overjoyed and begins licking him instead of tearing his face off. The others then rush over to the youngling and wonder why the beast didn't kill Aman, but he tells them that the poor thing had a thorn stuck in its hide, which must have been driving him mad with pain. Tryla is very proud of Aman, while Cryo is annoyed that he's not getting any of the credit. Sometime after, the group eventually return to their ship with Anakin, and he finally wakes up after some time, praising his youngling clan, telling them that they did very well. Anakin then sits up in his recovery bed and says that he's especially proud of Cryo and made the right choice by putting him in charge. Surprisingly, however, Cryo humbles himself and thanks Anakin for the compliment, but points over at Aman and gives him the credit for the daring rescue. Anakin then smiles as the group of younglings realize that they saved their master together, with the Force as their guide. They manage to work together as a team and show Anakin that they are true Jedi. This clan will certainly not be sent to the Jedi Agricorps base on Dantooine anytime soon, where all of the Jedi rejects go who aren't as powerful in the Force. These guys will definitely be safe for that. And these guys will very likely be picked up by Jedi Masters in the next few years. Let me know down below which Jedi Masters you think would suit these younglings. Unfortunately, we all know how Anakin repaid them for saving his life. So tragic to know that Anakin kills all of these kids only very shortly after this mission. So that was the group of Jedi younglings who saved Anakin's life while out in a dark, creepy forest. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to leave a like and comment down below for more. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.